Alright guys, welcome to episode 7 of Out of the Shadows. Now, in all of my previous videos, I've said that I need more subscribers in order to make longer videos. I was wrong. Apparently all I had to do was verify my account. A very simple 1-2 click of the button. So I apologize for my mistake, and I will start to put out longer videos as topics permit, shall we say. Today's episode, I'm going to talk about focus. Now, it's obviously what you focus on is going to determine how you feel. What you think translates into how you feel, which is a very simplistic thing perhaps, but it's very true. So, what are you focusing on right now? When you're depressed, typically it's negative things. It's I'm never going to get out of this. The odds are stacked against me. I'm never going to feel well. And it's natural to feel that way, especially if you're depressed, you're in a bad place. Now, conversely, what you need to learn to do is to shift your focus. And how do we do that? So you need to figure out, first and foremost, I would say, what do you like to do? What things make you happy? What makes you happy? That seems like a very simple question, but sometimes it can be very difficult to answer. And it doesn't have to be this grand philosophical answer of, oh, this is the meaning of my life. It could just simply be, you know what, my pets make me happy. My family makes me happy. My hobbies make me happy. Drawing, running, exercising, martial arts, whatever it is. Take what makes you happy and think about that. You may not really feel that happiness, but intellectually you know, all right, this makes me happy. So at least that's a start. Whether you can feel the feelings or not, you're starting somewhere. You have to build that momentum. Crawl before you can walk, as they say. For me, what I started to focus on, what helped me sort of start to get out of the depths was I've always been very close with my nieces and nephews. I've always really enjoyed being an uncle. I love to see the kids' faces just light up and they get so excited. And I remember I was pretty young. I was 11 years old when my first nephew was born. And I remember being 13 when he was 3 years old. And whenever he'd come to me and ask me if he'd say he wanted to play, will you play with me? And I always said yes. Because I remembered being little and how excited you would get when someone said like they would play with you. It was the greatest thing in the world. So especially being that young, I would always say yes. I would play with them. I would run myself ragged. And obviously when you're 13 years old up into your teens, your 20s, you can go for a very, very long time. Not that I'm old per se now, but I don't quite have it exactly as I used to. So when I was depressed, I started thinking about them. I started thinking about how much I wanted to be there for them and how I wasn't really present at the time because I was isolating myself. I didn't want to go out and socialize. And there's always a level of guilt. And guilt can be a bad thing, but sometimes guilt is telling you what you're failing to do. You're failing to meet some value that you hold. A value of mine is I value family. I value loyalty. I value nurturing the younger members of my family. So I was violating one of my basic values, and that's what my guilt was telling me at the time. Now, as I said, you don't need to feel unnecessarily guilty. Some people, when they're depressed, feel that they feel guilty because they feel like they're a burden. Maybe people are helping you out financially. You feel as though you're not really offering anything to anyone else. You're not being productive per se. And that's not true. You're going through something, you need some help. That doesn't mean that you're useless or you're not helping or people feel that you're a burden. So that's not the guilt that I'm talking about. There is guilt like that, which I would call misplaced guilt or perhaps irrational guilt. So that's not what I'm referring to. But again, coming back to my main point here, I started to focus on the thought of my nieces and nephews. I remember one of the first times I went out to visit them, I was still very depressed. It was one of those situations where I had to kind of push myself through. And as I've said in previous videos, there are going to be times where you have to push yourself. You're not going to want to do it. You're not going to have that feeling inside of, oh my God, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be great. You're going to feel like, oh man, I don't want to do this. This is going to be super hard. This is going to suck. I'm going to I'm going to go home and I'm going to want to sleep for days. But it's those times, and as hard as it is, you have to push through that. You have to be like, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to do this, because if I don't do this, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to feel bad for myself, and I'm not going to progress. You will feel, bad, and it's going to be hard initially, and you have to push yourself, but eventually things start to build on themselves. You build momentum. All of a sudden, you want to go do certain things, and you want to see your family, you want to see your friends, you want to go out and play sports or run or go to the gym, whatever it is. You start to want those things again, but it starts with pushing yourself. It's not fun. Nobody likes to do it. And even if you're a non-depressed person or someone who hasn't experienced depression on any level, people still have to push themselves. People who maintain a healthy lifestyle, I don't think anyone every single day loves going to the gym, or every single day loves, oh, I have to eat healthy, or all these restrictions on my diet, or whatever it is. No one enjoys that all of the time. Sometimes you enjoy it because you know that, wow, this is taking me to another level. I'm losing weight. I'm gaining muscle. I'm accomplishing things if it's something like a job or a project. But everyone has to push themselves sometimes. So keep that in mind. You're not this weird person who should be put in a cage and, oh my God, what's wrong with me? I'm sure everybody else has this easy. And there are some things that people can do really easily, and I would feel like that very often. There were times with my social anxiety, I would very much get in my head and worry about what other people might be thinking of me. The key word there is might be thinking. And usually most people are so caught up in their own lives, they're not thinking about you. You're just another person. So there were times where I would be going to the store and I'd be so worried, like, oh my God, people are going to see how depressed I am, and they're going to think I'm weird, and just having all these thoughts that really, they don't make rational sense. But I think anyone out there who's watching who has experienced depression knows that rationality and logic aren't really what's going on when you're depressed. You're not necessarily illogical, but as I said in other videos, if you fall back on logic, you might be sitting there thinking, oh my God, I'm a horrible person. I'm bad. No one could possibly love me. But if you go back to logic and think, well, why am I calling myself a horrible person? What makes me so horrible? Why would nobody love me? Why am I so unlovable? And that can be a very difficult thing, I think, again, for anyone. To love yourself, to have good self-esteem, that's a very big issue. But it's something that you have to work towards. It's something that takes time. And once you're able to get there, get to that place where you're like, you know what, I am worthy. I'm a worthwhile person. I'm just as good as anyone else. And that's the truth. You're just as good as anyone else. You're no better. You're no worse. And I think a good place to start is there are people in your life who love you. Your family, your friends. And start to think about that. Like, all right, well, if I think I'm so unlovable, then why would my parents love me? Why would my brothers and sisters love me? Why would my friends love me? There has to be something about me. And again, you're taking a starting point. Ask yourself, why would they love you? Why do you think they love you? You could even go so far as to ask someone like, what about me makes you love me? And that sounds like a strange question, but again, if you have the right people in your life, they want to help you, and you're giving them a way to help you. Maybe they're like, you know what, you're a very compassionate and understanding person, you're loyal, you're always there for me. And it's always easier hearing someone else compliment you rather than sitting there and trying to figure out, all right, what are my good qualities? And absolutely you can do that. And you get to a place where you can do that for sure. But I think coming from someone else, hearing these good qualities, I think that really reaffirms and validates your feelings. So you can absolutely start there. Or, like I said, just from yourself, logically, all right, well, I really care about people. I try and do as much as I can for my family and my friends. So these are the reasons why I'm a worthy person, I'm worthwhile, I'm not this terrible thing that I'm making myself out to be in my head. Again, it's all building on one another. They're all steps that are leading towards the same thing. So, focus essentially is, what are we willing to spend our energy on? What are we going to choose to spend our energy on? There are things in life that give you energy. There are things in life that take your energy. Things that might take your energy are responsibilities, a job. It could be family drama. It could be many things. And obviously a job is necessary. Responsibilities are necessary. But no matter who you are, it takes a toll. It's the way it is. I'm not saying it's necessarily bad, but it's gonna drain you to some extent. It's gonna take your energy. And there are things in life that build your energy. Loving relationships, whether it's family, whether it's a romantic relationship, friendships, professional relationships, whatever they are, those things give you energy. Those things build you up. Other things that build your energy can be exercise, meditation, a hobby, whether it's drawing, playing music, listening to music, reading. Those things all give you this kind of spark that you want to do more. You enjoy it. It's building your energy. So you need to kind of start figuring out, all right, these things give me energy. They make me feel really good. So I'm going to try and focus on these. Again, if you're in a place where you're depressed, you're probably not doing things that you once loved. So start there. If you love to draw, and I've mentioned this in other videos, but it bears repeating, tell yourself, you know what, I'm going to draw for 15 minutes this week, whether that's 15 minutes one day or 5 minutes 3 days, whatever it is. You start there. And like I said, you're not necessarily going to feel like it. You don't want to do it. You're going to have to force yourself. And that's not fun to force yourself. Nobody enjoys doing that. But again, it's going to get you to that place where eventually you're going to want to do it. And it's not going to be a scheduled thing. You're going to just spontaneously do it. And maybe you'll actually start scheduling time so that you can specifically do that. So those are things to really think about. Like I said, what gives you energy, what takes your energy. And what are you going to choose to spend your energy on? What goals are you trying to pursue? What people are worth your energy? And your goals can be big, they can be small. It can be something as big as, all right, well, I want to get a job and I want to make at least $50,000 next year. I want to be financially independent if I'm not right now. And it's a big feat. It's something that's going to take time. You're going to have to look for that position. It might take a little time to build up that kind of income. Maybe you need to go through some schooling first. But again, it's those things that are worth your energy. So if you have to go through some kind of schooling, whether it's a trade school or a traditional college type deal, if it's something you really enjoy doing, like for me, I'm very interested in psychology. I'm very interested in philosophy, personal growth, obviously, as I'm sitting here doing these things. So when I'm reading books that are self-help books or personal growth books, I get really excited. I want to do this. I'm not drained. I don't feel like it's work. So if say business is your thing and you really enjoy going to school for it, you love the accounting classes, you love the marketing classes, you want to go into marketing, you have this drive, you want to keep going. So you're spending your energy on it, but it's not as if it's draining you. It's almost sustaining you. And in time, you'll have that education. It'll take a while. It'll seem at times like it's, my God, this is never going to end. But I think the older we get, especially, think about how fast a year goes. I mean, I can tell you, I'm 32 years old, and a year now is not what it was when I was 16, 17, even 20 years old. Years go by, they start going by fast as you get older. And if you are younger, it may seem longer, but I'll tell you what, if you can start young and you're doing something you want to do and you're on that path and you have less detours, so to speak, you're going to be really glad that you did when you're older. Because I can tell you from experience, people, it's rarely a straight line. All of us, we get off track. We wanted to start off maybe doing psychology. Oh, now I want to go into personal training, or oh, maybe I'm going to get an office job. And it goes all over the place. But eventually you find what you want to do and, you get there. And I don't think it matters whether you get there at 35 or 40 or you get there at 25 or whatever. So long as you get there, if it's 45, 50 years old, if you get to a place where, you know what, I'm really happy. I really enjoy what I'm doing. I'm making enough money to where I'm comfortable. I get to enjoy time with my family and my friends. It doesn't matter what age you are. I mean, that to me is the definition of winning. And if it takes you a little longer to win than you originally thought, what's the difference? You're still coming out on top. So it seems like I'm running out of time here, so I'm actually going to close this episode. Guys, please like, share, and subscribe. I hope this was helpful and not just me ranting. I will see you guys next week, and take care.